This is Redhills Miners Hall. It's Durham's other cathedral. It's the building where working class community power literally changed Britain. We believe it can do it again. It was here, in Redhills' unique Pitman's Parliament, that the collective strength of ordinary people achieved the extraordinary.
Driven by socialist principles and Methodist fervour, they challenged an economic system that condemned them to a life of poverty and insecurity.
They built the Durham Miners Association, a union that took on the unchecked power of the coal barons and won.
They saw strength in unity, stood together shoulder to shoulder in solidarity and took control of their own destiny.
Long before the NHS, they provided access to healthcare, literacy, adult education. They built the forerunner of our welfare state, radically improving the lives of mining communities. That's an achievement that urgently needs defending.
They were the vanguard of a newly confident and aspirational working class, an unstoppable force for progress, a movement that forged identity, strengthened community and built a self-made tradition and culture which bound the people of Durham together.
We are still here. These collective values, this proud identity and robust culture live on today. You can see it filling the streets of Durham on the second Saturday in July at the Durham Miners Gala, the world's biggest annual celebration of working class culture.
That big meeting feeling is not nostalgia. It's a powerful living heritage that can still inspire and sustain real change.
Redhills was the birthplace of workers' rights, of the minimum wage, minimum working age and maximum working hours.
But more than that, it was the finishing school for formidable community leaders who had the audacity to organise, to accrue their own power and to use it to build a better system for the betterment of their communities.
In every community across the coalfield, the Union Lodge brought people together to build a better future. At the heart of it all was a vast solidarity economy of cooperatives and collectively owned community assets that put people before profit.
Using funds collected from members and borrowed from the DMA, which acted as a community investment bank, they built reading rooms, welfare halls, social clubs, public parks and recreational facilities without rival amongst the industrial working class.
Every village had a thriving cooperative store that shared its surpluses as a dividend for each family, rather than make profits for private shareholders. And this solidarity economy enhanced every aspect of community life.
There's no reason our communities couldn't enjoy this economic power again.
Solidarity can help us win back the ground that we've lost. It can help us rebuild our community-owned assets.
And above all, it can help us rebuild hope.
A new generation of community activists are already building a new solidarity economy. Sacristan's Woodshed Workshop, housed appropriately in the old co-op buildings, is typical of the social enterprises that are putting people before profit.
We've been involved with Redhills for some years now, about the work that we do in the Sacristan and the work we do with young people around sort of woodcraft and construction skills. You know, Woodshed was instrumental in taking over an old cooperative building in the middle of the Sacristan. You start looking at the story of the co-ops and things like that, and you start realising that what you're doing now, you know, was done 100+ years ago. We've got young people that we're trying to work with who are outside of school, who need an education. We've got a need for housing in our local area, and when you get all these things together, like the answer to them, it just makes a lot of sense. We'll work next door to the youth centre. We've got the Live Well centre at the back. So as multiple organisations on the same site, delivering on our different social outcomes, acting together, it's just improved our impact in the local area.
In Chopwell, the Regeneration Group are rebuilding collectively owned community assets and building a powerful sense of solidarity.
The bank was the first major project for Chopwell Regeneration Group, which is now a charity. It's a welfare and enterprise centre, but it does a lot of things. So we are a community cafe and we offer lots of opportunities for skills development. So lots of cookery classes, combat loneliness. We've got a men's pie club, we've got craft groups. It's part of the life of the village now. And the repair shop is newer, that opened last year. We have very skilled volunteers who come along and repair household goods and clothes for the community, so it's low cost repairs, meaning that people don't have to get new things. It's also an opportunity for people to come along and learn skills. We are very much carrying on those traditions of solidarity, helping each other out. We just make sure that everything we do is from the community, by the community, with the community. And that is the spirit of Chopwell, that is the part of the heritage of the village.
But as we rebuild Durham's solidarity economy, we are thinking bigger, much bigger. We are focusing our attention on 3 areas of the economy where the private sector is failing our communities miserably: housing, energy and social care.
In Horden, like many other villages, property speculators and slum landlords are destroying local neighbourhoods.
Growing up in 7th Street in Horden was, this one here at the top was incredible, and it's really sad for me to come here now and I see that the street has been left unloved. There's a lot of out of area owners leaving them abandoned. We have to live here, we have to look at those. Children have to walk to school, you know, looking at broken windows. It's given a perception of fear and crime that, you know, that isn't Horden. As a community, I think we need to take back that ownership. For me, it resonates back to the time when we had a thriving colliery. The welfare park, which is a massive asset to Horden, we always call it the jewel in the crown. It's well looked after, it's well maintained. Place of peace, reflection, there's so much to do in there. And that is there because the pitmen, they contributed some of their salary, they sacrificed some of that because they wanted recreational facilities for their families. We want our thriving community back, and Horden absolutely deserves that.
Every village has derelict houses. Every village has people struggling to pay inflated private rents. None of these problems will ever be solved by the private sector. Why? Because there's no profit to be made.
But imagine if local people formed a community land trust, and imagine if they could refurbish those homes to a plan devised by the community.
Then take energy. Over the past few years, the big 6 private energy companies have made obscene profits by forcing working class communities into fuel poverty.
But what if our communities could generate their own energy and own it collectively? If that sounds impossible, think again. In Gateshead, public buildings and new housing estates are already being served by new energy sources from old mine workings.
Mine water heat is literally transferring heat from mine seams, which are 150 metres below the ground we're standing on, through a heat exchanger and getting it into a domestic and commercial heat network where those buildings is benefiting from lower cost heat and power through this system. From 200 years ago, flooded mine workings now creating sustainable zero carbon heat and power for decades to come.
And in East Durham, plans for a collectively owned energy scheme are well underway.
We are right at the end of a long process to install a community-owned mine water heat scheme in the village of Horden, and it will be owned by the community.
When the pit closed, jobs were lost, and there's now this giant geothermal element out under the sea. Our fathers and grandfathers dug those tunnels, they're filled with water, they're already being pumped to the surface because it has to protect the aquifer, but we're now going to attach green energy to that and bring jobs back to Horden. So it's really important, it's really exciting.
This is about an active regeneration of a local economy that is owned and facilitated and delivered by the people that live and work in that economy. Much like we were 100 years ago, it's a return to that cooperative movement.
And I think each area should have the autonomy to decide what's going to work for them. And I think that's what's great about the Redhills model, is that we come together and we share resources, we share ideas, we support each other to enact those ideas. And those ideas come from the place. We've spent a long time feeling left behind, and we've spent a long time feeling forgotten since the pit shut, but actually there's loads of people who were born after the pit shut, and they're just waiting for something to come along and build hope, build a future. And for me, that's what this project is.
Redhills is rising again. A rebuilt Redhills now has a new lease of life.
Our miners' banners are emblazoned with a slogan: the past we inherit, the future we build.
The best way for Redhills to honour our inheritance is to use the inspirational model of its founders to rebuild our solidarity economy. It will be a place where community organisers and workers will rebuild hope, where they will convene to help working class communities to take back control of their lives.
We want to reinstate Redhills' role as a community investment bank, raising and lending the capital to a myriad of cooperatives and community enterprises that will kickstart and sustain a new solidarity economy.
And just as Redhills pioneered the welfare state, we will be a beacon for working class communities everywhere to take back control, realise their collective power, to build their own solidarity economy and to reap the community dividends it will bring.
We will need your help and support. You can be part of Redhills by joining our free membership today.